Today on Huko Design, we're traveling to a place very dear to my heart. A coastline that stood the test of time through the Spanish secession, a world war, and many storms. The three herrings with their lovely crowns showing a sense of majesty and pride in this beautiful old fishing town. Since the age of 5, when I first moved to the Netherlands, Scheveningen has been a spot where I learned to skate, got salt water up my nose, watched the greatest fire competition ever, and ate the most delicious variant of fish and chips, kibbeling. Although I'm incredibly fond of this coastline, the area I live in, and my hometown, this fondness cannot be extended to Scheveningen's Boulevard and surroundings.
A great grimness has befallen one of the Netherlands' most iconic beaches. But it wasn't always this way. In this video, we'll explore the history of Scheveningen, how the decisions of the municipality and architects ruined this beautiful icon, and how it's being revitalized once more.
Scheveningen started as a village and was first ever mentioned in 1375, when fishers asked for a count's favor. The village has always been known for its relation with fishing, and although the town has changed a tremendous amount in the last 200 years, its port and fishing industry is still prevalent. Slowly, the little town was enveloped by the growing city of The Hague, then known as The Hague. This led to a growing population, as well as new developments. In 1818, the first bathhouse was opened by Jacob Pronk. The 17th century nobility soon found out that the beaches had chill vibes, and the historically significant and beautiful Kurhaus was built in 1885. The bathhouse was designed in the classicist style. Oh shit, Antifa, it's not with me. The style actually refers to returning to classic Greek and Roman times. Other buildings following this style are St. Paul's Cathedral, the St. Petersplein, and neighborhoods in America where people have a lot of money but no taste. The style can easily be distinguished by the pillars and decorative toppings on windows and doors, which are called frontons. Many other bathhouses and beautiful structures were created, but then came World War II. Scheveningen, as well as other parts of the Dutch coastline, were declared a spaargebied. This made the whole area close to inhabitants, and great defences replaced buildings to fend off any potential attacks by the Alliance. Although trenches and concrete walls replaced the seafront's wicker chairs, many buildings were actually spared in the war, but the coastline was still left in ruin.
Although the Nazis destroyed some buildings, many remain standing. And while our generation believes World War II is much more of a faint memory than it really is, it has been 76 years of redevelopment where many pretty things could have been built. So what happened? We'll go past some of the ugliest buildings here in Scheveningen, explain why I think they're ugly, how they were made, and what could be changed about them.
To make buildings interesting, one should always, in my opinion, add an interesting element that makes them unique from their surroundings. Although I strongly hold this opinion still, the Leonardo da Vinci apartments have thrown a golden curveball at the idea that this is always a good notion. Designed by Coastline and partners, the building speaks volumes about the importance of one's context. In my previous video on Gaudi, I spoke of the value of incorporating history, culture, using traditional materials, and applying your faith. This building and design do none of that. The first giveaway is the naming of the building. Da Vinci is a man born and raised in Italy, in a time when the Netherlands wasn't even really a thing. And I presume he never stepped a foot on Scheveningen's pier. I also don't see how the building design is related to him, although perhaps the golden bowl means something in a way. I couldn't find any information on Keesendam's website, so here's my theory. Da Vinci had bowls made out of gold. I actually believe that the golden bowl is a reference to the monument placed further down the coast in celebration of our independence from Napoleon when our king returned in 1813. I understand the reference, but it's so blatant and kind of odd that I almost can't appreciate it. It also makes you wonder, is the building celebrating our independence, or does it think it's more important than the king? Imagine we place a big old torch on a high-rise in New York. Would that be a celebration of the Statue of Liberty, or a disrespectful move? It hurts, especially when you consider the structure is visually boring and grey. The There was no attempt in applying forms or materials from historic buildings. One can even see the prefab concrete elements for the front balconies sticking out with no attempt at hiding them. It is clear that the building was designed and created on a low budget. I blame the municipality, however, for letting such a grim building be constructed and given the permits for it. Low-cost construction is logical and often necessary, but one has to remember that Scheveningen is, apart from Parliament, the biggest attraction of The Hague, and that such buildings can ruin this appeal. In the end, it will cost more, as the high-rise will have to be demolished and something new must be put in its place. Pleasure piers, as these structures are known, have been a hype since the 19th century. The first to invent the concept, like they have with many things, were the British, which first built a pier on the Isle of Wight, where I lived, in 1813. The Dutch lagged a bit behind, but the Scheveningen pier was opened in 1901. The pier was directly accessible to the guests of the Kurhaus. The railings and towers had a tremendous amount of detailing to them and beautiful hanging lights. The pier was a lot smaller than the current one and hosted a circular bar where guests could enjoy live music, acrobatics and drama performances. It is important to note that Scheveningen at this time mainly catered to the wealthy of society. They had shops that sold fruit, which were very expensive at the time. This target audience perhaps also explains why the pier was designed the way it was. In 1943, the old pier burned down, and after the war was replaced. The new pier, which is still standing today, isn't bad. It has become the new icon of Scheveningen, and in recent years has done relatively well. Unlike the previous one, which was linked directly to the Kurhaus, subjectively the prettiest building on the Boulevard, this one was placed further down as it didn't match the style. But the question then becomes, why wasn't the style matched? And then the next question is, okay, what makes this pier unique? Why would one visit Scheveningen for its pier? Well, you might say it's the Ferris wheel, but... okay, that's not it. How about the time that the pier had an arcade? Oh, damn it. The point I'm trying to make is that the pier isn't anything special. It hosts no particular original design elements, gives no real incentive to go on it, apart from the beautiful view, and it leaves one to wonder, what does it add?
My opinion is clearly not just based on nothing. The pier has struggled to be financially viable since the 1970s and has had many different owners. This is mostly due to its large size and therefore high maintenance costs, which makes it really difficult to even want to own.
For 25 years, the structure even had a rotting carcass of a building hanging on the side of it, which no one had the funds to remove. Definitely a great way to attract tourists. The main lesson I've taken away from the pier is that it's important to be unique in style. If one makes a pier, which there are thousands of in this world, make it fit in the place. It doesn't have to be big or host a Ferris wheel, but create something that can be found nowhere else. And why not exploit the biggest building of Scheveningen that already attracts many people? On the left of the Kurhaus, there once stood a villa named Jacobsen and the well-known Kurhaus bar. People would leave their hotel to visit the bar and enjoy their time. But all went sour when in 1902 developers wanted to exploit the rise in tourism in Scheveningen and wreck this lovely place for a monstrosity that, oh, that's actually a lovely building. Thank God it wasn't ruined. The Palace Hotel was a great addition to the Coastline. One can clearly see the building took inspiration from the Kurhaus, which stands beside it. Unusually for Scheveningen, the Palace Hotel was greatly influenced by the Art Nouveau movement. The building in early times was also used as a gallery for art. Although I'm not certain why, the hotel struggled in 1965 and had to close its doors. The building was then used as an office. Despite hardships in the 80s due to an economic downturn, the building was preserved due to its beauty. Psych! They destroyed it! Oh yeah, let's put some brutalism on the beach, baby! Seriously though, I don't think I have to say much about what happened here. A gorgeous building was destroyed when it wasn't necessary at all. The building could have easily been repurposed if they'd wished to turn it into apartments, but with no respect for 80-year-old history, understanding of the building's fitting nature next to the Kurhaus, and the importance of creating a beautiful coastline for tourism, this came to pass.
The abominations that have been built here have been requested to be demolished. Unfortunately, so far, to no avail. Restoration should always be key, especially considering a building that survived 2 world wars and had such important historic significance.
The Kurhaus is one of Scheveningen's most beautiful structures. It is a tourist attraction by itself and gives the boulevard a sense of prestige. Unfortunately, much of this beauty has been hidden away. In the 1980s, the construction started of the apartments that would strangle the Kurhaus's surroundings. Ironically, the Kurhaus had just been restored and could finally be appreciated by all when they decided to hide it away. The apartments did much more than just hide the Kurhaus. They blocked the direct route to the beach, creating a much smaller area for pedestrians, which there are many of in Scheveningen. Due to this, it created a very stressful experience when trying to get to the coastline.
These buildings aren't as ugly as the palace apartments, but the issue I have with them is their hiding of something beautiful and historic. Imagine if they'd done that to the Sagrada Familia or the White House. People would be up in arms.
I want to take you to a place where they avoided this mistake relatively well. London, St. Paul's Cathedral. The city has had strict rules on the visibility of this building and 2 others, and they must be observable from 13 different locations, which can be seen on this map. The policy has allowed London to stay relatively low built, a good thing in my opinion, and has respected old buildings which have shaped the city through generations. I strongly believe that the city should have respected the Kurhaus more and left its appearance open for all visitors of Scheveningen to see. I'm also not the only one that believes this, as the Christian Democrat Party signed a motion to research the destruction of the apartments in 2000. This unfortunately has been to no avail.
Okay, I know I've been incredibly negative so far. Is there anything redeeming about this beach, or should we just go to Zandvoort? At least they have Formula 1 there. Well, there are actually buildings in Scheveningen that have been designed with beauty and integrity in mind. One of them being the AFAS Circus Theatre.
In 1904, the original building was opened, which was generally meant for traveling circuses to perform in the summer when tourism was high. And in the winter, it was used to store beach furniture. Oh yeah, multifunctional design. The building survived World War II and was still standing in 1960. Luckily, people had started realizing how horrible circuses and clowns are, but this sadly did cause the organization to go bankrupt. The building was transformed into a concert hall and set for renovation, which was fantastic news. The construction got underway, but on the 18th of December 1964, a fire started, which would be the end of this beautiful building. All was not lost, however. A new building was designed by Arno Meijs, which is still standing today. The theatre is incredibly elegant. Its Art Deco styling, sandy finish, which is perfectly fitting with the beach, and the black highlights just scream suits and cocktails. It's chic and gets you excited to go to Scheveningen. The lighting on the building is another wonderful addition. At night, the blue top dome and golden bottom lighting want you to sit and enjoy the summer breeze. If it would be placed next to the Kurhaus or any other historic building, it wouldn't be an oddity, even with its more modern stylings. Although previous heads of the municipality have made some terrible mistakes, the current people in charge have made some great new additions. The newest garage, built by Heinen X, is lovely. The styling is elegant from both the inside as well as the outside. The facade has an Art Deco styling to it and is directly linked to the beach through its use of sand-colored bricks. The hallways are decorated with Delft blue shells and gorgeous hanging lamps that remind you that Scheveningen is not just some beach. The floor has a beautiful mosaic which shows you the 3 fish of the Scheveningen's coat of arms. These little references are important. It's what makes the beach unique, and the buildings on the boulevard should embrace this. The other building designed by Heinen X, which stands a little further off, is a new pavilion. Look, I know I've been raving on about old buildings, but this building shows that it's not about nostalgia. The building is lovely and formed perfectly into the coastal shape. I think we should start with the most important theme that I noted in the buildings which ruined the coastline. All three of them could have been copy-pasted anywhere else in the world, and no one would have batted an eye. This is the crux of modern architecture and the dangers of current trends that have started neglecting the importance of our surroundings. Therefore, the first lesson I want to give away is that one should care about the history and location of the buildings you're creating. Secondly, there's something I haven't specifically mentioned before: the importance of visual unity between buildings. This is something that Gaudi, for example, wasn't so good at. When you're designing for a neighborhood, beachfront or city center, there will always be an underlying atmosphere. How to read this atmosphere will be discussed in a video soon, but this ambience is a fundament to the design direction. A great example of this atmosphere being shunned is the Palace Apartments, which completely subverted from what Scheveningen should be, a warm and welcoming beachfront. Scheveningen has been plagued with unnecessary new constructions and the wrecking of old buildings. Not only has it been bad for the looks, but it's also terrible for the environment. The last two rules shouldn't even have been needed had the municipality and architects decided to preserve and prevent the building up of a historic and important location.
We as architects have an immense power over people's lives. We control their neighborhoods and cities. Sometimes the biggest celebration of our work is to restrain ourselves. We're not geniuses and we can't always improve places. Sometimes preservation is key. Thank you for watching this video on Scheveningen. Get a chance to receive one of the original drawings made for this video by subscribing to my Patreon. You will also get access to the posters that I create for each video. Subscribe for the next video, where I will either talk about English architecture or something on technique. It's a little bit up in the air at the moment. Thank you for watching and have a lovely day.
Is het oude Scheveningen, maar nieuw zoals het heden is, kun je er nog over zingen. De hotels en de restaurants, de Keizerstraat als ader, direct gelegen aan het strand met winkels voor de baden.